RadioSEGA.
Super Monkey Ball is a series which has always seemed to struggle with what it wants to be. Dating back 20 years, Monkey Ball at its core was an arcadey marble roller platformer hybrid, yet fast forward as little as 5 years from that point, and Monkey Ball became nothing more than an experimental franchise for SEGA. If there was new hardware, Monkey Ball was there to put it through its paces. When the DS launched, Super Monkey Ball Touch and Roll served as a testing ground for SEGA to get familiar with pen-based touchscreen controls. When the Wii launched, Banana Blitz soon followed, which felt like a polished tech demo for the Wii remotes. The same case applied when Step and Roll launched to test out using the Wii balance board as a controller. When consoles were no longer keen on experimenting with different forms of controls and ways of interacting with games, Monkey Ball vanished. This once juggernaut of a SEGA franchise just disappeared from the gaming scene one day when hardware became that little bit less unique. During this downtime and period of reflection on the franchise, fans became disillusioned with what Monkey Ball was even meant to be anymore. Those days of gathering around the GameCube playing Monkey Target with friends destined to grow dusty and old, never to be touched again? Or would Monkey Ball return to its once former glory? In 2019, SEGA would break the silence when they announced Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD. Although the Wii launch title was certainly not a fan favourite game in the series, far from it. Banana Blitz HD would trim the fat and translate the game to a more traditional joystick-based control scheme, which already fixed the largest complaints surrounding the 2006 original. With the game being regarded as one of the easier games in the series, it serves as a great place to restart the Monkey Ball franchise, a steady base which future games could build upon. So it was settled, Monkey Ball was back. That brings us up to the modern day. We currently live in somewhat of a golden age of Monkey Ball once more. Banana Blitz HD went down pretty well, but it couldn't quite win back over the audience hungry for more classic Monkey Ball content. That audience made it quite clear where their interest lied when the Super Monkey Ball Twitter one day put up a poll asking fans where they'd like the series to go after Banana Blitz HD, with the response being overwhelmingly in favour of a remake of Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2. RGD Studio got to work, and we're now seeing the labour of that love, Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. Although it's a remake fans have now been clamouring for many console generations, we've seen strong competition step up to the mark in the form of Rolled Out, an indie game available on Steam which aims to recreate the most beloved aspects of the original two Monkey Ball games. Keeping all that in mind, does Banana Mania live up to the hype? Let's start where all great reviews start and go to the story. Banana Mania's story and the entire story mode itself is lifted from Super Monkey Ball 2, so the same beats apply like for like. Dr. Baboon steals all the bananas from Monkey Island and will only give them back if Mimi marries him. Mimi declines, so it's up to our heroes to give chase and save the day. Our team is put through various antics throughout this first portion of the adventure, such as being faced with a bomb ready for detonation, being stuffed inside a volcano on Monkey Island, being swallowed by a whale, and venturing into Dr. Baboon's nose? Yeah, this story isn't the most highbrow of things. Dr. Baboon begins the production of I.O. robots, designed to look like I.O. so the citizens of the world will blame him for the theft of the world's banana supply. We then learn of Dr. Baboon's final evil scheme. He plans to make the world supply bananas taste like curry. Oh no! Of course, our heroes fall this last plan, and Dr. Baboon plummets back down to Earth, and we watch the credits roll. Although it's far from being anything spectacular, Super Monkey Ball 2's story at the time was a silly, light-hearted affair that was more intended to provide a comedic wrapper around the levels, rather than make you ponder those philosophical questions that keep you awake at night. Of course, this is all carried into Banana Mania then, but in my opinion, this is where the problems begin to present themselves. Due to the changing graphical style and addition of Dr. and Yan-Yan's presence in the story, the presentation of the story itself has completely changed between this game and Super Monkey Ball 2. Instead of fully animated 3D cutscenes, Banana Mania instead tells the story for a style akin to that for Picture Book, and to be honest, yeah, these cutscenes are unfortunately quite the downgrade. They all follow the same structure almost beat for beat. Dr. Baboon does something villainous, I.O. and friends get mad, perform the same dance, and then we get sent straight into the gameplay. It gets rather dull and repetitive after a while, and lacks the same storytelling punch that the original had. Add to that the fact that the dialogue from the original is missing. It turned what was a somewhat fun little story to follow along with into one that I quickly found myself tuning out of whenever the cutscenes appeared. Let's take a step back from the story mode and instead indulge ourselves in the menus. The Super Monkey Ball games of old always had no thrills, no nonsense menus designed to get you into the gameplay as quickly as possible. Banana Mania evolves this mindset by still having a snappy menu that allows you to access the gameplay you want in as few clicks as possible, but it also provides an entire ecosystem surrounding that gameplay. No longer will you want to speed through the menus, you'll want to soak up all they have to offer. And there is a lot here in comparison to previous Monkey Ball games. Aside from accessing the various modes you'd expect, you have the gallery, in which you can view past story events, watch replays, and even listen to the game's soundtrack, something which we will of course be inspecting later. You can access the various online challenges, as well as check in on your mission progress and compare your latest leaderboard scores. You can even head on into the shop and browse the various characters, clothing items and bonus modes you'll be unlocking throughout your time spent in-game. And to add to this, there's a separate menu to equip all your purchased items of clothing. Heading on into the options menu then, this is somewhere you might be spending quite a bit of time if, like me, you opted to play the PC version. Across all versions, this is where you can adjust your vibration, brightness, sound levels and controls. On versions with gyro support like the Switch and PS4, you'll be able to adjust various related settings in here, although that's something I've not been able to test personally. I have however been able to mess around with the various graphical adjustments able to be made in the PC version. You have the option to switch VSync on and off, which is much appreciated, as well as the options to change your resolution, graphics settings, shadow quality and post-processing effects. Anti-aliasing can be enabled or disabled, as can texture smoothing. One image I wish the texture smoothing fixed, however, is the II graphics seen on the loading screen, because oh my, it's extremely blurry and compressed. It would take me out of the zone whenever it popped up, which is a lot. Although there's a good handful of graphical tweaks able to be made in here, I can't help but feel like it's a slight step back from Banana Blitz HD's PC port from back in 2019. You had a higher degree of control in that game, to the point where you could even customise the FPS cap based on preset values, with the option also being there to unlock it completely. This option is sadly missing from Banana Mania, with the highest I could get my FPS to go to being 144 FPS, which I achieved through setting VSync to on. This is strange, as most PC games I find that I get better performance with it switched off. However, Banana Mania instead forces my FPS to 60 if VSync is disabled, so I opted to keep it enabled and enjoyed a silky smooth 144 FPS experience, and along with instant loads thanks to my SSD, the experience was incredible. But I'm still just a little bit sad that the option to unlock the FPS was completely omitted from this port.
While Green Viper 8 was playing the PC port of the game, myself, DrScottnik, played it on the PS4 and was very satisfied with how the game ran. Loading times were snappy and never overstayed their welcome, although the low resolution II image was a distracting issue during the PS4 loading screens and is one glaring nitpick I hope will be patched out sooner rather than later. Controls are tight and responsive on the DualShock, and even allows the ability to switch motion controls on, allowing players to play the game through tilting the PlayStation controller. Though it is rather imprecise and a far cry from what the Wii was able to accomplish back with Banana Blitz. Aside from those small complaints however, the game ran beautifully at a silky smooth 60 frames per second, with online rankings to take on other PlayStation users around the world.
Right, well, getting back on track, let's discuss some of the changes made between the original games and Banana Mania. The first one, which may hit long-time fans of the series, is that certain floors have been made easier to accommodate for the overall lower difficulty of this remake. Super Monkey Ball 1 is hit hardest in this department, but some Super Monkey Ball 2 and Deluxe stages have also seen some changes made. Although some Monkey Ball fans may not be in favour of this change, thankfully there is an unlockable mode which serves to remedy this issue, as you can play all the original difficulty versions there instead. Some stages have even been made harder to balance out these changes, such as Super Monkey Ball 1's AV logo, which has instead been renamed to Banana Plate, with the imagery in the stage itself being replaced by two bananas due to the closure of Amusement Vision in 2005. As you'd expect based on this change, Super Monkey Ball 2's created by has been renamed to Last Stage, with the imagery instead being replaced by that of two love hearts depicting Dr. Badboon and Mimi. URL from Super Monkey Ball 2 also sees changes for this exact same reason, but instead of opting to use Deluxe's updated version of the stage, which would require reviving the official Monkey Ball website, the name is instead updated to Push Bar, with the imagery changed to a repeating pattern of II holding a banana. Most other stage names are intact, as the stages depicting logos of companies still with us, thank goodness, such as SEGA logo. Naming is derived from Super Monkey Ball Deluxe, meaning that Super Monkey Ball 1 levels are named as such, and levels that were renamed in that game, such as Super Monkey Ball 2's Labyrinth becoming Crazy Maze, have their revised names retained here. Despite some of these stages having revised designs, a lot are still as irritating as they once were, so prepare to sink lots of hours into trying again until we can finally conquer that challenge. Banana Mania also provides a lot of accessibility options to give players a helping hand if they need one. A worthwhile addition to the series if you ask me. Turning on the game's helper function will net you double the time on the clock, as well as provide you with arrows pointing you towards the goal. You even get the option to toggle slow mode, if you require a slower pace to clear some of the more gimmick heavy and timer based stages the game has to offer. All in all, these adjustments to make Monkey Ball more accessible to all are very appreciated. I do wish, however, that this mode would do more to point you towards the goal, such as tell you which buttons to press in stages which require you to press them in a specific order, but they do just enough to make them worthwhile. There's still loads more room to improve for future entries and with future SEGA titles. One of the more infamous aspects of classic Monkey Ball was its reliance, and perhaps over-reliance, on the live system, something which is antiquated by modern game design standards. Super Monkey Ball 1 in particular is the most brutal, as if you want to play the additional Expert, Extra and Master floors, you can't game over once. Something of a tall order when you begin Expert mode with only 2 lives, with their big 60 stages between you and the coveted Master stages. Monkey Ball 2 and Deluxe dialed this back a little bit by allowing you to unlock additional lives through play points, with a maximum of 99 starting lives being up for grabs. With all that out the way, Banana Mania completely does away with lives. The bananas you earn instead now be points which can be used in the shop. In my opinion, this is a welcome change that will allow newer and younger players to experience Monkey Ball in a far less brutal way, and will instead incentivise trial and error, something which the level design of these games has never had any issue with pushing on you. Although I'm sure it's a decision that hardcore fans will be disappointed with, it's also worth noting that even Super Monkey Ball 2 and Deluxe did away with lives in their respective story modes. So in my opinion, it's a long overdue change to the series that allows the challenge to flourish, rather than unfairly punishing the player. And the reworking of how the game uses bananas will instead teach players to explore levels to their fullest. Speaking of those bananas then, let's dive into the shop and its customization features. At first, you'll find yourself longingly looking at all these lovely new characters, snazzy outfits and cool bonus modes, but it won't take you much playing before you start to be able to afford some of these luxuries. All in all, the shop offers you 6 additional playable characters as well as 7 bonus outfits, 34 hats, 28 shirts, 25 shoes, 27 balls, 10 photo frames, 5 character expressions, 8 new modes and 1 additional move. Whew. Sure is a lot, huh? Of course it will take you a long time to nab all the points necessary, so don't sweat if you don't have everything you want after beating the story mode or finishing all the challenge runs. The shop is designed to be a slow burn after all, so you'll gradually unlock everything here as the game hours fly by. Adding a storefront to Monkey Ball is a change I never knew I needed, but future games better provide this method of unlocking content, as I'm in love with all the bonus trinkets available for purchasing here. Especially in an age when a lot of this could have been locked behind DLC or loot boxes, it's nice to have so much of this in the game. Although, it is worth mentioning that some additional content is locked behind a digital deluxe version, such as the soundtrack switch and classic character models. Plus, there is also some DLC on the way, so it's not completely 100% free of the curses of modern gaming, but it is still a lot better than many games on the market at the moment with its delivery of this bonus in-game content. Well, let's crack on and speak about those bonus modes then. 3 of them are just bonus rendering modes, which can be set through the options menu, and they just change the filter shown over the gameplay, so they aren't really worth discussing beyond a brief mention. Other modes do have a lot more meat to them though, such as the aptly named DX mode. This is where you'll find all of the exclusive stages from Super Monkey Ball Deluxe, which were pulled from the sinking ship of the sadly cancelled Super Monkey Ball 3. They're all still as good here as they were in that game, which is to say they're my absolute favourite Monkey Ball levels. For me, they take the best bits of the differing level design standards in Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2 and mash them into one perfect blend. Playing them over again makes me really wish they weren't stuck in this side mode, and instead they were a selectable story and challenge mode from the main menu, but I likely knew going into this that they were going to put this to the side. So I'll just put aside my huge crushing disappointment as a huge Deluxe fan. You've got Reverse Mode, which does what it says on the tin, but provides all the challenge you'd expect from having to go through the levels in an unintended way. There's also the intertwined Dark Banana and Golden Banana mode, with both being different sides of the same coin. One makes you avoid all the bananas, the other makes you nab them all. This mode provides a fun, alternative way to play through already familiar stages, while not making too many changes to their overall design, so they serve as a nice way to squeeze a couple extra hours of playtime out of the title. You've also got original stage mode, so if you're not a huge fan of some of the edits made to the stages in challenge mode, you'll find that maybe this is more to your taste. But I will say that it was a seriously fiendish move to put Catwalk as the first stage in this mode. That level is seriously hellish. The item with the highest point requirement though would be the jump mechanic, which allows you to jump in any stage you like at any time. Since this is already in the engine due to the game being based on Banana Blitz HD, it makes sense to add it back in as an additional feature in this remake, even if the jump height has been nerfed slightly since that game. It's every bit as broken as you'd expect it to be, given that none of these stages were designed with a jump button in mind. So if you're looking for that old school Monkey Ball challenge, perhaps turn this one off in the in-game menu once it's unlocked. Otherwise, if you need an additional helping hand getting through some of those tougher courses, it might be worth saving up your bananas for this big unlock. Up next is music and sound. With this being RadioSEGA, of course we're going to take a deep dive into this game's OST. All during the pre-release, right up until I booted up the game, I was ready to completely dismiss this game's soundtrack. I've spent many years listening to Hidenori Shoji's iconic scores, and I wasn't ready to let this game's seemingly underwhelming replacement for that glory slide. But once I got into the game, I found myself really enjoying all the new songs this game has to offer. There's even plenty of homages and straight up remixes of Shoji's iconic works. Although the soundtrack does go in a completely different direction to the originals, it's still well and truly worth a listen in my humble opinion, because so many of these tracks got stuck in my head for days upon days on end. During my playthrough I noted Under the Ocean, Clock Tower Factory and Dr. Bad Boon's Bass as my particular standout favourites, and my favourite track overall, by far, is the theme of Amusement Park. It's still stuck in my head while I'm even recording this very audio. One complaint I do have with some of these tracks though is, for as great as they are, some of them don't really fit the stages they reside in that well. The main target of my criticism here is Bubbly Washing Machine. It's hard to describe thematically exactly how the music of a world set in a washing machine would or should sound, but in Super Monkey Ball 2 it was every bit as serene and calming as it needed to be for the atmosphere the level aesthetic builds. The new Bubbly Washing Machine music then almost feels like it could be club music? There's a heavy dosage of bass and synth that drives the main melody, and as great of a song as it is, the entire time I was listening to it, I couldn't help but just feel like it wasn't Bubbly Washing Machine. There's a couple other stages which had me feeling like this too, but this was the most severe case, and issues like this are primarily the reason why I found myself switching back to the original OST after my initial playthrough. Don't get me wrong, this soundtrack is jamming, and I would definitely recommend it, but my preference will always lie with the all-time classics composed back in the early 2000s by one of SEGA's most underappreciated musicians. You'll for sure catch me looping this OST once it makes its way to digital storefronts though. I'll be sure to rep it on my shows where possible, and 100%, come 2022 I will be spinning that vinyl. A large point of contention from the Monkey Ball faithful when this remake was first announced was a concern to do with the physics and controls of the characters. In this department, Banana Blitz HD didn't do too hot with die-hard fans of the series, so there was a great deal of concern when this game was announced and it appeared to be running on the same engine. I can say that while this game is a considerable improvement over Banana Blitz HD, it's still not that perfect one-to-one recreation which many fans were clamouring for. I do personally feel that it's still a perfectly acceptable control scheme, though I know that for many fans this will be a mark against the game in their book. One benefit the Banana Blitz controls being implemented and tweaked here though is that characters no longer have this twitchy feeling to them like they did in the original games. It's far simpler to make small, minor adjustments on the control stick here than it was on the GameCube, which means areas requiring higher precision should be a breeze here in comparison to their old school counterparts. What I didn't like as much however was that the characters still have this very bouncy property to them like they did in Banana Blitz HD. This has been dialed back considerably, but there were still many areas in which I bounced pretty heavily, which I knew I'd have no such trouble with if I were to boot up my GameCube. For newcomers to the series, you'd be hard pressed to find any issues at all, and I think you'll fall in love with the level of precision the controls offer you in Banana Mania. But for superfans of the original like myself, you may find some areas in which the characters don't quite control to your exact liking, but I found myself getting used to this new control scheme pretty quickly, and sometimes my love of it even surpassed the original games. I really do think that hardcore fans shouldn't let the fact that this isn't a one-to-one recreation of the controls we loved in those games shy them away from what is otherwise a perfectly faithful remaster of our beloved games. Plus, Banana Mania even fixes some issues from the original. In the community, Super Monkey Ball 1, 2 and Deluxe are infamous for a desync between the physics engine and the GameCube and Xbox hardware, where sometimes inputs and in-game actions won't register exactly as they should. In those games, there's a lot of times where you can clip the exact same edge the exact same way, yet get two completely different results depending on factors outside of the player's control. I can say that in all of my testing, Banana Mania does not have this issue. If you put in a set of inputs, from all that I've tested, you can always expect the same output no matter what. This seriously improves the experience for me, and this newfound consistency I've found hitting tricks makes it very hard for me to revisit the originals now.
Now, because Green Viper has no friends, I'm back to talk about the party games. These collection of minigames hit a spot in players' hearts when Monkey Ball 1 and 2 released, and are often a main discussion point when talking about these GameCube classics. So how does Banana Mania do at recreating some of these iconic minigames? Well, there are some great ones, a few decent ones, and unfortunately a few stinkers. The biggest disappointment to fans will be Monkey Target, which, while not bad, still cannot reach the levels of fun that the original brought with its fantastic physics. So let's quickly go through the games in a ranking, shall we? Coming in at the most fun in the A tier, we have Monkey Fight, Bowling, Golf, and my personal favourite, Soccer. Then in the decent B tier we have Monkey Race, Target, Billiards, Baseball and Tennis. And unfortunately in the stinker category of C tier we have Monkey Boat, Shot and Dogfight. Each minigame though has multiple levels and modes which allows for a great amount of replayability, even allowing some games to play better, for example Monkey Fight Survival Mode being a standout over the more mediocre Normal Mode. Other games such as Golf include the options of regular golf or mini golf. There is much fun to be had with friends trying out all these games, and while not all of them are a hit, you'll be sure to find stuff that you and your friends will enjoy.
I thought I'd return to a question I brushed upon at the start of this review. Does Banana Mania live up to the hype? And I would say that's a tough question to call, but it's entirely subjective. Many fans have been waiting 15 plus years for what they would deem a return to form for the series, so their expectations will be understandably high, and their list of demands long. Then you have the surface level Monkey Ball fan, now maybe a young adult who has many memories of playing Banana Blitz on their Wii long ago, wanting to rekindle any form of Monkey Ball nostalgia while maybe discovering what made an older generation fall in love with this franchise. What about the series newcomer who's perhaps heard about these games through social media but never gave the series a shot? Monkey Ball is 20 years old this year, and the series has won a lot of different masks during that time, so the definition of what makes a perfect Monkey Ball game will vary wildly from person to person. So it's hard to define if this game lives up to some very lofty expectations from the older fan base, for as simple as it is to say that it's a smashing time for series newcomers. So instead, how about we add another factor into the equation? At the start of this review I mentioned Rolled Out, a Steam indie made by die-hard Monkey Ball fans for those same die-hard fans. The game dropped on Steam in March 2021, which presents fans of classic Monkey Ball games with two options, Rolled Out or Banana Mania. Once again, we find our path branching. That also depends on two factors. Do you want an exact recreation of the things you loved about Monkey Ball 1 and 2? Or do you want the same things to be translated to modern standards and improved upon iteratively? If you don't want those memories and preferences changed at all, then maybe you'd be better off with Rolled Out. That game might be able to cater more to your wants as a fan, but if you're willing to have the things you loved about old school Monkey Ball tinkered with to create a more refined experience which is brought up to modern gaming standards, then look no further than Banana Mania. It's a fantastic remake of the best games in the franchise, which respects everything that made the GameCube classics tick, while changing things which might have aged a little poorly and adding in a whole slew of new content to sweeten the package a whole lot more. For me, it's like having two desserts in front of you, both being different flavours. You're free to eat and mix and match both in whatever way you please with absolutely no caveats, and you're even allowed additional servings. For me, that's the best way to look at the relationship between the two games. I have two amazing desserts to choose from, so why limit myself to only one when they're both so sweet? So that finally brings us to the end of our Super Monkey Ball journey. Having covered all that the game has to offer, I would absolutely recommend you give Banana Mania a shot once it releases, without a shadow of a doubt. It takes two of my favourite video games, bundles in all the content from Deluxe while adding a metric ton more. It tweaks the experience to be enjoyable in the modern day while keeping everything that worked about the originals intact, and allows them to flourish more than ever. If you've never played a Monkey Ball game before, now's your time. We're living in a golden age of Monkey Ball and Monkey Ball styled games, so revel in it and eat up every bit of content you can. If you loved the series in the past but are weary after having been burnt by more recent entries, this is the perfect place to jump back in. You're guaranteed to love it and all that's to come. The future of Monkey Ball is shining oh so bright, so come and be a part of SEGA history by exploring one of their greatest franchises in possibly its best outing to date.